Shalom Payala is in there. Yeah, like I said, y'all could join on YouTube if you want. All right. All right, so we'll get started in about 3 minutes. All right, I'll put this here until I get the cell phone stand. All right, so let's pray. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, Amen. All right. And then we'll go into the Ten Commandments. All right. Most of us know the English. You can read in Hebrew also. Open it for me. All right. Banya Yahweh Alahayaka, Ashrah Wataza Atika, Madataza Matazadium, Mabayati Badium, La Yahayalaka Alahaya Makarium Ilpania, La Ata Shalaka Fasala, La Ata Ibadam, La Ata Lakwak, At Sham Yahweh Bashawa, Zakar Hayawam Hashabat Lakodashwa, Kabad Abaka Wa Amaka, La Ata Tazak, La Ata Na'ap, La Ata Ganab, La Ata Inashakor, La Ata Kamad Kal Asherah La Ra'ika. All right, so those are the 10 commandments. Second greatest commandment is La Ata Kwam wa La Ata Ta'at Banya Inka wa Hafta La Ra'ika Kamawaka Anya Yahweh. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. All right, and for everybody, Yabarakaka Yahweh Yashamarka, Ya'ari Yahweh Panya wa Alika wa Yakanka, Yasha'a Yahweh Panya wa Alika wa Yashamlaka Shalom, Yahweh bless thee and keep thee, Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee, Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Yahweh, we give praise and thanks and glory to you on this fourth day of Chag HaSukkoth. We thank you, Yahweh, for allowing us to dwell in Sukkoth in the wilderness. We thank you for bringing us out of captivity. We ask Yahweh that you give us the strength and the courage to make the most and to make the best of this opportunity that you've given our people to bring you glory and to help build our people up to be examples of righteousness and holiness. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, Amen. Dua de Zayatan. All right. So we in go to Exodus, Deuteronomy chapter 10. Right, and hopefully today we'll just kind of like go into it. We'll go into it, with kind of with some swiftness. All right. All right, so we left off in Deuteronomy chapter 10. And that's we're gonna pick up today on day 4. So chapter 10, verse 6. All right, so we're gonna start off in Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 6. And so where's Aresha? All right. So we have someone read that. I don't know if y'all want to do any, mini, miny, mo, or start from the older and work to the younger, but let's have somebody come up. Start from Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 6. Let's make sure, is that on Zayathan? Okay. All right, so we're going to try to stay within the text. We're going to try not to deviate too far and go into too many peripheral scriptures. We're going to try to deal with what we see on the page and let that be the anchor and the source of any commentaries that we have. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, Amaria, so we can knock it out.
And the sons of Israel departed from the road of the sons of Joachim, Misadai. There Aaron died, and there he was buried. And his son Eleazar became priest instead of him. From there they departed to Gadgal, and from Gadgal, Jetibatha, a land with a wadi of waters. At that time, Yahweh set apart the tribe of Levi to carry the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, to stand before Yahweh to minister and to pray in his name to this day. Therefore, for the Levites, there is not part or allotment among their brothers. Yahweh himself is his allotment, as he said to him.
So the tribe of Levi was not given, they weren't given any land, right? They didn't have land. Okay. They didn't have any inherited land. They did have cities or suburbs outside the city. From outside of every city around the wall for about a half of a mile, the Levites were given like suburbs, cities. All right. So that's how they lived. They had their own little section, segregated section away from everybody else. Go ahead.
And I stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. And Yahweh listened to me in that time also. And Yahweh did not want to destroy you utterly. And Yahweh said to me, Go, depart before this people, and let them go and inherit the land that I swore to their fathers to give them.
Mm-hmm.
And now, O Yasharahla, what does Yahweh your Elohim ask from you, but to fear Yahweh your Elohim, to go in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahweh your Elohim with the whole of your heart.
So Yahweh requires us to love him with everything and to walk in his ways. Right, go ahead.
And with the whole of your soul, to keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, and his statutes that I command you today, so that it may be well with you. Look, the sky and the sky of the sky belongs to Yahweh your Elohim, and the earth and all that is in it. Yeah, your fathers, Yahweh chose to love them, and he picked you, their offspring, after them, you among all the nations, as it is this day. And you shall circumcise your hard-heartedness, and you shall not harden your neck any longer.
So circumcise your heart. So already we see spiritual reflections of the physical covenant that we're commanded to enter into also. All right, this applies to men and women have to circumcise their hearts, but only the man circumcises his flesh. And of course, circumcise our heart means to cut off those things from our spirits that are excessive, like the extra flesh in circumcision. It's a physical act of the token of the covenant between us and Yahweh. Covenant meaning the promise and the agreement and the contract. And once we have that circumcision taking place, from our flesh, we're expected to walk in the things that we hear from our fathers to teach us. So the same way we circumcise our hearts, all right, it's a token of entering into this new covenant and cutting off our own desires and cutting off our own ways and walking in accordance to the laws and the commandments of Yahweh. If you want to see more information about this circumcision of the heart, Paul goes into it, I believe, in Romans chapter 2. All right, go ahead.
For Yahweh Elohim is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great Elohim, mighty and fear-inspiring, who does not marvel at a person, neither will he take a bribe, doing justice to the guest and the orphan.
The guest is the non-Israelite that lived among us. Read.
And orphan and widow, and loving the guest, to give him food and clothing. You shall also love the guest, for you were guests in the land of Egypt.
Yes, of course, now we see that being familiar with the word and the phrase, we see now the word guest is being used instead of the word stranger. Go ahead.
You shall fear Yahweh.
Can I ask for where we are in the reading? I apologize.
Deuteronomy 10. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 20.
Verse 20.
You shall fear Yahweh your Elohim.
And how do we see fearing Yahweh? We see fearing Yahweh is always summarized with acts of obedience. Read.
And him you shall serve, and to him you shall hold fast, and by his name you shall swear. He is your boast, and he is your Elohim, who did among you these great and glorious things that your eyes have seen. Your fathers went down to Egypt with 70 persons, and now Yahweh your Elohim has made you as the stars in the sky in number. Masharah Yasharahla.
Colors for the Banya Yasharahla.
All that y'all said, what we doing here.
All that y'all said, what we doing here. Okay, great.
And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim, and keep his orders and his statutes, and his commandments and his judgments always.
And it's very simple. First, look at this. He said always, which means no matter where you are. America, Israel, Zimbabwe, says always keep his commandments, always be obedient to him. And you and your family, your children, your wife, your husband, your parents, your congregation, your community must all be encouraging each other to be obedient to the commandments of Yahweh. You make life so much easier for yourself spiritually, and you are so much smaller of an available target of Hashatan when you obey. So you have to obey. You have to encourage people to do exactly what Yahweh said to do, no matter what the price is. You have to be determined. And if you're determined, nothing will deter you. Nothing will stop you from doing what the Father Yahweh has told us to do. And that has to be your approach. That has to be your mindset. That has to be your mentality every day when you wake up. And those people around you have to have the same mentality. If you got somebody around you that's constantly not keeping the commandments, it doesn't become a blessing and easy and edification between you and that person. It becomes a struggle. It becomes a conflict. All right, go ahead.
Verse 2, and you shall know today.
Deuteronomy 11 and 2.
And you shall know today that it was not your children who have not known or seen the discipline of Yahweh Elohim, and his magnificent works, and his strong hand, and his high arm, and his signs and his wonders that he did in the midst of Egypt to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to all his land, and what he did to the force of the Egyptians.
The force talking about the armies, go ahead.
To their chariots and their horses, how he made the water of the Red Sea flow over them as they pursued you from your rear. And Yahweh has destroyed them to this very day. And what he did for you in the wilderness until you came to this place, and what he did to Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, son of Reuben, whom the earth, having opened its mouth, swallowed them up.
So he's reminding them all of the judgments that the Most High brought against people that stood against him and against the leadership of the people also. These guys said, well, we can be leaders too. And they pulled the people to join them. Everybody that has a position or post or knowledge isn't meant to be at the forefront to give the people ultimate guidance, direction, or instruction. Just because we know something doesn't mean that we're the ones that's appointed to teach us information we know. And that's why we have a lot of brothers going off, because more emphasis is put onto go you therefore, and to go to the Lordship House of Israel, but no emphasis is put on when Mashiach said you have to become a disciple. We don't have any emphasis on discipleship. Go ahead. And we're supposed to.
Along with their households and their tents and all their substance which was with them in the midst of all of Israel. For it is your eyes that saw all the great deeds of Yahweh that he did for you today. And you shall keep all his commandments that I command you today,
right,
so that you may live and be multiplied and go in and inherit the land,
okay,
into which you are crossing over the Jordan to take possession of it there, so that you may live long in the land that Yahweh swore to your fathers to give them, and their offspring after them, a land flowing with milk and honey. For the land into which you are about to enter there to inherit it, is not like the land of Egypt, whence you are coming from. When they sow the seed and water it with the feet, like a garden of vegetables. But the land into which you are entering there to inherit it is a hilly land and flat. It will drink water from the rain of the sky, a land that Yahweh your Elohim regards it. The eyes of Yahweh your Elohim are always on it, from the beginning of the year even to the end of the year.
So you know how you got to go out with your can in your garden and water it. Yahweh is saying that you don't got to do that for land that he gave us. So Moses is reminding us, like, look, we don't need to do any type of heavy duty agricultural maintenance when it comes to this land. We just plant the seeds and it's going to grow. All right. And that's the reality of being in that land. The rain, you have regular rain, you have regular aquifers, you have regular springs and hills, and the water coming down from the hills into the valleys and letting everything get, spring up. All right, go ahead.
Now, if by hearing you hear all his commandments that I command you today, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to serve him with the whole of your heart and with the whole of your soul, he too will give the rain for your land in season, early rain and later rain, and you will gather in your grain and your wine and your oil, and he will give fodder in your fields for your cattle, and when you have eaten and have been filled, take care to yourselves, lest your heart be expanded, and you turn away and serve other gods, and do obeisance to them. And Yahweh, being wrathful, be angry against you, and shut up the sky, and there will be no rain, and the land will not give its fruit, and you will perish quickly from off the good land that Yahweh gave you.
All right, so again, we get all of these warnings and warnings and warnings, and we don't take heed to them. We have to take heed to these warnings, and when we see these things being repeated, we got to keep these commandments. And you'll hear a lot of people saying you got to keep the commandments, but in their walk, they can't be any compromise. Read the commandments. Read the commandments, for yourself. I mean, you can have a good starting guide if you just type in 613 commandments, even though there's more commandments, but that's a good place to start. That's a good place to start. And is everything only going to be as accurate as it should be? Probably not. All right, probably not. But if you look up the Yasharahla code of law on academia, the ones that we have are more accurate according to the scriptural definition of commandments. But you have to understand these things for yourself. You can't get so bogged down reading Luke or reading Ephesians or reading Psalms and Proverbs that you aren't aware of the minimum requirements that Yahweh has given to us in order to be considered obedient children in his eyes. Now go ahead.
And you shall put these words in your heart and in your soul, and you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be things unshakable before your eyes.
And again, that's talking about the tefillin on your hand and between your eyes. All right.
And you shall teach your children to say them when they are sitting down at home, and going on the way, and lying down, and rising. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates, so that you may be long lived, and the days of your sons in the land that Yahweh swore to your fathers to give them may be as the days of the sky above the earth. And it shall be.
So expansive, great, wonderful, and beautiful is how our days are supposed to be. You're gonna need to call the verse every few verses because people may get lost, okay? Especially, go ahead.
Verse 22. And it shall be, if by hearing you hear all these commandments that I command you today, to do, to love Yahweh your Elohim, to go in all his ways, and to hold fast to him, Yahweh too will drive out all these nations before you, and you will dispossess nations great and rather stronger than you. Every place wherever you may plant the trace of your foot shall be yours, from the wilderness in Anti-Lebanon, and from the great river, the river Euphrates, and up the western sea shall be your borders.
The Western Sea is talking about the Mediterranean. Oh, go ahead.
No one will stand against you. Yahweh your Elohim will put the trembling of you and fear of you.
And that now this right here is something that's still kind of on us today. And it's the stereotype that's perpetuated in America. Like they make the black man, the Latino man, the Native American man to be savage, to be thugs, which some of us are. But we didn't do nothing to white people to make them label us that. When they started to create that label for us, we were coming out of captivity, coming out of slavery, coming out of oppression, coming from the farms and coming off the reservations, and they made this image of he's a savage, destructive beast, and that's what was pushed in American society. All right. So they still have a degree of fear for us, but it's not warranted. Okay. But you can still see that characteristic is still something that's on the children of Israel today. All right, go ahead.
Verse 25. No one will stand against you. Yahweh your Elohim will put the trembling of you and fear of you on the face of all the land on which you may go upon it, as Yahweh spoke to you. See, I am giving before you today a blessing and a curse.
A blessing and a curse. Go ahead. What's the blessing?
The blessing, if you hear the commandments.
If you hear the commandments, go ahead.
Of Yahweh
the commandments of Yahweh, go ahead.
That I command you today.
So Deuteronomy is a summary of all of the commandments. It's a summary of the commandments. And it's a blessing doing these commandments. Read.
And the curse.
And what is the curse? Go ahead.
If you do not hear the commandments.
If you don't hear the commandments, if you don't take heed to the commandments, go ahead.
Of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you today.
Go ahead.
And if you wander from the way that I command you.
If you don't heed these commandments and you wander away from the commandments. All right. It doesn't say you're going to be magically transported away from the commandments. You wander away when you don't pay attention to your base that you came from. You don't keep it in your mind and you don't keep it in your sight, and you're not processing your road as you're walking. And you wander away and you become lost. And this is why the scriptures call us the lost sheep. My people have been lost sheep, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This is why we're called lost, because we wandered away into a different way. All of us have lost our way. Okay, so now we have guide points following the Torah to get back to the path that we're supposed to be on. And we shed all of the things that we're doing that's wrong. All of the controversial areas, we shed them. so that we can be blameless in the eyes of people, and in the eyes of God. And we shed all of the things that we're doing that's wrong. All of the controversial areas, we shed them, so that we can be blameless in the eyes of people, and in the eyes of God. And we shed all of the things that we're doing that's wrong. All of the controversial areas, we shed them, so that we can be blameless and in the eyes of the Most High if we say we're representing him. So I have to drop things that are questionable so my light can shine. Case in point, historically and archaeologically, we can't show that the Israelites were wearing dreadlocks. All right. So once I personally understood that, I said, and people asked me about it when I be out, when I was out teaching and stuff in the early 90s. So what I do, I cut them off. Why? Because it's very possible and likely that, no, not possible and likely, but I didn't know at the time that we were doing this because we wandered away. We wandered away, so I cut my dreadlocks. Because it's not a clear path that Yahweh gave us. So everything that you're doing, everything that you're wearing, your whole lifestyle has to be in conformity, has to be in agreement with the path that Yahweh gave us. Read.
Having gone to
Call when we have a long break like that, call the verse so people can know where to pick up from.
Verse 28. And the curse, if you do not hear the commandments of Yahweh.
If you don't hear the commandments, you cursed. All right.
Which I command you today. And if you wander from the way that I command you. So
this is why the scripture says that Hamashiach has done what? Freed us from the curse of the law. The curses for our disobedience and the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 68. And what you have to understand is that as you, as Israelites, are more obedient to the commandments, you make it better spiritually for the environment of everybody else. And we see this in the story of Abraham, where Yahweh said, you know what? I will hold back my destruction upon these people if you can find a certain number of people that are righteous, that are doing the right thing. Go ahead.
Having gone to serve other gods that you do not know. Verse 29. And it shall be, when Yahweh your Elohim has brought you into the land into which you are coming there to inherit it, you shall give the blessing on Mount Gerizim, and the curse on Mount Gibon. Look, are these not across the Jordan beyond, by the way of the setting of the sun, in the land of Canaan, that which is situated on the west near Golgol, beside the high oak? For you are crossing the Jordan when you go in to inherit the land that Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an allotment for all days, and you will inherit it and live on it.
So remember, land. Land is one of the primary blessings. Land, autonomy, independence. That's one of the main blessings that Yahweh is given to us for our obedience. But you have to go through the trials and tribulation and walk through that wilderness to get to there. All right. A lot of people have to be renters before they can be, owners of property. You have to start in different smaller levels of business before you can go to higher levels of business. And this is the goal, as well as the propensity, or rather the aptitude for our people. We can achieve great things together, not as individual congregations and households doing things, but united together. All right, just like the 13 colonies of America. They united together and they stood firm against their adversary, and they had a central command structure. Everybody contribute to this command structure, and then they had states' rights that the federal government couldn't intrude upon them regarding. So if Israel said, you know what, these are the basic standards, which we're supposed to. The basic standards are supposed to be measured by the Torah. But Israelites don't get together to say, hey, let's go over this Torah. That's why it's so important during the Feast of Tabernacles to refresh yourself in the Torah. All right, go ahead.
And you shall be watchful to perform all these ordinances.
Watchful meaning very careful and attentive. Read.
And these judgments that I am giving before you today.
All right, go ahead.
Masharah Yasharahla. All that Yahweh said, what we doing here.
All that Yahweh said, what we doing here. Are you okay to read 12 and 13? It's a question. Mm-hmm. Let's shut that door a little bit. La ventana. Right, so we in Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 1. Go ahead.
And these are the ordinances and the judgments that you should be watchful to perform in the land that Yahweh, the Elohim of your fathers, is giving you as an allotment all the days that you live on the earth. You shall with destruction destroy all the places there where the nations whom you are about to dispossess serve their gods, on the high mountains and on the dunes and beneath every leafy tree. You should chop down their altars and smash their steels and cut down their groves and burn with fire the carved objects of their gods.
So all of the symbols that they use to worship their gods, we're supposed to destroy. And the truth of the matter is that they didn't use, what we know now as a menorah, what we know now as the Star of David, what we know now as, the different symbols of Jerusalem and pomegranates. Now, some of these symbols were seen as just structures. There's certain degrees. In other words, a pyramid was a place of burial. So you having a pyramid representing something in your house on your wall, it's like you having a casket or a tombstone or a mausoleum, a graveyard, because that's what a pyramid was for. The pyramids were burial grounds, and the things that they find inside the pyramids were buried, with the main person in that pyramid. But the symbols that we have now were adopted and used to worship other gods. A lot of the symbols that we use, okay. Whether you and this is not a point of a debate, a point of debate, a point of discussion, a point of dissension, or a point of disagreement. It's historical. The scarabs and the wings and everything were used by ancient people. The woman with the little ankh symbol in her hand can be seen going back to the Assyrian Empire. The cross was used by the Romans and by the Greeks as part of their worship systems. All right. The man body and the animal head was used by the Egyptian systems, was used by the Assyrians, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Canaanites. So all of these different reflections of idolatry have been taken up as cultural, ethnic, awareness, esoteric, social, religious, self-expression symbols by people around the world, and it's wrong. We're not supposed to be associating or affiliating with things that come from other gods. Especially we see the wicked making high use of these things. They exalt and promote these images, but they don't exalt and promote the Bible, the word of Yahweh, the history of our people, the culture of the children of Israel. All right, read.
Verse 3, and blot out their name from that place. You shall not do so to Yahweh your Elohim, but the place which Yahweh your Elohim may choose in one of your tribes to designate that his name be called, there you too will seek and enter there, and you will bring there your whole burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your first fruits, and your votive gifts, your freewill gifts, and the first thing of your oxen.
The votive gifts, go ahead.
And you shall eat there in the presence of Yahweh your Elohim, and shall rejoice in all things to watch to which you put your hands, you and your households, as Yahweh your Elohim has blessed you. You shall not do all the things that we are doing here today, each one doing what is pleasing before him. For you have not come until now into the rest and into the inheritance that Yahweh your Elohim has given you. And you shall cross over the Jordan and live in the land that Yahweh your Elohim has allotted to you, and he will give you the rest. He will give you rest from all your enemies around, and you will live in safety. And it shall be that the place wherever Yahweh your Elohim may choose for his name to be called there you shall bring all that I command you today, your whole burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and your first fruits of your hands, and your gifts, and every choice one of your gifts, whatever you may vow before your Elohim. And you shall be.
So this is talking about Jerusalem. All right, go ahead.
Verse 12. And you shall be joyful before Yahweh your Elohim, you and your sons and your daughters, your male and female slaves, and the Levite who is at your gates, since he has no part or allotment with you. Take care to yourselves, lest you bring your whole burnt offerings at any place where you may look.
So he's saying, don't take your offerings wherever you think you decide that you want to bring it, only to Jerusalem. You can't bring your offerings or your burnt offerings to any other place. Okay? You got to bring it to Jerusalem. All right? You can't just set up your systems of worship anywhere that you want to do it at. You can't just set up an altar anywhere. All of this was done in Jerusalem under the direction and supervision of the tribe of Levi. Go ahead.
But at the place at which Yahweh your Elohim may choose in one of your tribes, there you shall offer your whole burnt offerings, and there you shall do everything I command you today. Verse 15. Yet at your every desire you shall slaughter and eat meat according to the blessing of Yahweh your Elohim, which he has given you within any city. The unclean one among you and the clean together shall eat of it.
No, and it says the unclean and clean may eat of it. It's talking about a person, not the food itself. So when you go and you say, well, you know what? I got this guinea fowl over here, or I got this Cornish hen, this quail, this grouse over here, this turkey or chicken, which are lawful birds, and I'm gonna eat it. If you're clean or if you're unclean, you can still eat that food. That's what this verse is talking about. Because formerly only the clean people could eat that. You can only eat certain foods when you were clean, because the blood of certain animals were offered inside to the tabernacle. So if you had like a goat or a sheep or a certain birds, certain cattle, you took the blood and it was given to the priest at the temple. But now if you had a deer, all right, which is not one of the sacrificial animals, you didn't have to give that deer. You didn't have to give that. Anybody can eat from that deer. What I'm saying making sense? So of the species that we would sacrifice in the wilderness, only people that were ceremonially clean could eat that meat. All right. And the other meat that was not sacrificial meat that was part of that category of sacrificial animals, anybody could eat that meat, whether you were clean or whether you were unclean. All right, go ahead.
Verse 15, as they would, gazelle or deer. The blood, however, you should not eat.
Notice that? Anybody catch that? He said that clean and unclean can eat of it as they would gazelle or deer. And the reason he's pointing out the gazelle and the deer is because anybody, whether they were clean or unclean, could eat a gazelle or a deer. Because those aren't animals, those are clean animals that don't belong in the sacrificial category. Okay, everybody understand that? All right, go ahead.
The blood, however, you shall not eat. You shall pour it out on the ground like water.
So you still have to take the blood and pour it on the ground. When we slaughter a deer, or when we slaughter a sheep, or we move the dirt to the side, all right, and we make a little hole so that the dirt goes into the hole, and you have to discard of the dirt of you have to discard of the blood with dirt. All right, you have discarded the blood with dirt, and this goes into the whole quote unquote kosher process. Because a lot of times people don't do that, even though the meat says that it's kosher. So if you have a plant where you're processing sheep, you're supposed to take that blood and put the blood with the dirt, with the soil into the ground. That's what makes the whole process of the animal clean. Okay. That's what makes the whole process of the animal clean. It's like somebody having, an animal that's lawful, and they cut up the meat, but before they cut up the meat and everything, what do you do with the blood? And I'm gonna tell you also, this is something that could be done on an industrial level also, because you have something, if I'm not mistaken, something that's called a form of a fertilizer called bone meal. Okay. And what bone meal is the bone, well, they got animal bones, but sometimes they will have blood too, mixed in with that fertilizer. All right. And when it's mixed in with the fertilizer, they sell it, and you put it in with your soil. They take the bone and they take the blood, they dry it and they powder it, and then they put it into the dirt. So it's very ecological. It's a strong ecosystem. Okay, so now you got the blood, and you have the blood, and you have the waste from the animal going back into the soil, back into the earth, and giving into the nourishment of the soil. So it's a very ecological system. Nothing is wasted. All right. And that's why you go into the scriptures. Remember, they had there's a place in Israel called Field of Blood. Okay. Called Field of Blood. All right. So you can imagine that in your place, you would probably have, a field of blood. The field of blood, of course, that's going into Judas and all of that. But you would imagine on your property that you would have somewhere that you would be able to take the blood to. And then after so many months or years, that soil is going to be super rich. And once it gets rich, we're going to plant here now. Okay. All right, go ahead. Las cortinas, por favor.
Verse 17.
So Deuteronomy 12:17, read.
You should not be able to eat within your cities the tithe of your grain and of your wine and of your oil, the firstlings of your oxen and your sheep, and all votive gifts that you may vow, and your agreements, and the first fruits of your hands.
So your tithes and everything were not eaten by you in your cities. It was not eaten in your village. The tithe was given into other into your hands and used for other purposes, i.e., celebrating the feast day at Jerusalem. That's what your tithe was for. Your tithe wasn't for you to take and say, this is my 10% of what I grew, not what I grew, but 10% of my productivity, minus however many pounds of seed I planted. And then you took 10% of that and you had to use it for the feast. 10% for the feast, and then you had different measures. Some of them, were for the Levite. Then you have a different 10% that's going to go for the stranger, the Levite, the fatherless, and the widow. All right, go ahead.
Deuteronomy 12:18. But these you shall eat in the presence of Yahweh your Elohim at the place which Yahweh your Elohim may choose.
Which is Jerusalem.
You and your son and your daughter, your male slave and your female slave, and the guests in your cities, and you shall be joyful in the presence of Yahweh your Elohim in all things where you may put your hand.
So you're going to be joyful in anything you put your hand to, because Yahweh is going to prosper you when you're obedient and you're using what he gave you and turning it right back around to worship him and to appreciate him and to serve him. And we're not doing this. We're taking what we've been given, and everybody's primary focus is whoever's in their household. And anything outside of that is something special. But Yahweh is saying, hey, you take what I gave you and you bring it to Jerusalem and you eat it. And the person that doesn't have, he can come and enjoy and eat it with you also. And we've lost touch with that, because some of us have it, but we just don't share it. Some of us have it and we do share it. And those of us that don't have or do have get together, we all would have more as a people, as a community, as a nation. This is just basic mathematics that we seem to overlook when it comes time for us to actually put into a pot, and we feel like we're putting in more than everybody else. Well, Hamashiach put in more than anybody. And we can never outmatch or outgive him, but that wasn't his concern. His concern was, what is the end result and the outcome of what I'm doing for my people and for my creator, Yahweh. And that was the motivation that kept him doing what he was doing, the outcome and the benefit, even though some of us, most of our people, reject him. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Take care to yourself lest you neglect the Levite all the time that you may live in the land.
So he says, don't neglect the Levite. So you're supposed to be helping the Levites. The people that are Levites, either in an organized structural fashion or just, we send and support the Levites in different areas. We got a group of Levite that is fatherless, that has widows, and it has people that are trying to learn the Torah, learn the commandments also. All right. And we send money to them periodically. And the money we send goes a lot longer, goes a long way, and specifically in Haiti. It goes a lot further in Haiti than it does, in America. All right, go ahead. Verse 20.
Now if Yahweh your Elohim enlarges your borders, as he has said to you, and you shall say, I'm going to eat meat.
I'm going to eat some meat. Go ahead.
If your soul desires to eat meat.
So no restrictions on being a vegan or vegetarian. Read.
In every desire of your soul.
Whatever you desire. Now in the Greek, in the Hebrew, I know the word for desire and lust is the same word. I think in the King James it said, whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, which means to desire something. So lust is evil when you're coveting, all right, and when you're coveting and when you're envying. A husband and the wife may lust after each other righteously. It's the same exact word in Hebrew as the word desire. It's not an evil term. So if your soul desires to eat this meat, that's not evil. Your soul can desire to eat the muscular fibers of an animal. And that's why we have the regulations in this book right here, Deuteronomy chapter 14 and in Leviticus chapter 11. I read.
You shall eat meat. Verse 21. But if the place Yahweh your Elohim may choose for his name to be called there is a rather far away from you,
Which means it's going to be a far walk from where you live to Jerusalem, where he called his name, where he put his name at. Read.
then you shall slaughter from your oxen.
You kill from your ox, which is an animal that was sacrificed in the wilderness and in the law. Read.
And from your sheep,
And from your sheep, which is another sacrificial category. Read.
that Yahweh may give you as I have commanded you. Then you shall eat within your cities.
You can eat it within your city. Go ahead.
According to the desire of your soul.
According to your desire to eat meat. But he's using the sheep and the cow to represent a set of rules that were for the sacrificial animals. So even though these animals are being eaten, they weren't, the whole animal wasn't sacrificed. You still had to take the blood to the tabernacle. But now Moses is saying, if you're too far from the tabernacle, if you're too far from Jerusalem, read.
Just as the gazelle is eaten and the deer, so you shall eat.
So you should eat it when there's no regulation and restrictions because of the blood in the tabernacle. You don't got to take the blood to the tabernacle or to the temple. Read.
The unclean one among you and the clean alike shall eat it.
So now we don't have that same restriction on certain people cannot eat certain meats because they're clean or unclean. Now everybody can eat whatever meats Yahweh has said that we can eat without taking into consideration whether it's from the category of a deer, which is not a sacrificial animal, though clean, or a sheep, which is a sacrificial animal and it's clean also. So the distinction is not in the animal itself being clean because we cannot eat any unclean animals. The distinction is whether this animal is in one of the three sacrificial categories, two of which are mentioned here, which is the cow and the sheep family. All right, read.
Verse 23.
Verse 23.
Take great care not to eat blood.
Be careful, don't eat the blood. Go ahead.
Because its blood is life.
The blood is the life force of the animal. Go ahead.
The life should not be eaten.
The life, which is the blood, should not be eaten
with the meat.
With the meat. So the meat has to be roasted. The meat has to be boiled also. All right. And the meat has to be drained. The meat can be soaked to get the blood out of it. All right. And if you put the hot water in it, the blood a lot of times will boil out and you'll see like that scum on the top of the hot water. That's a lot of time the blood leaving the meat. All right. So that's just an easy way. What a lot of people do, especially Haitians and Dominicans do it also. You look at Dominican cooking shows and Haitian cooking shows, they'll take the meat and they'll season the meat, let it sit, and then they'll take hot water and pour hot water over top of the meat. And then they'll take the meat out and cook it again and put more spices to it. Or they'll take the meat, put it in the pot, put a little bit of hot water in the pot, cover it, let it boil for a couple of minutes, and then they'll take that meat and cook it again. Very simple, straightforward, easy process to get the blood out of the meat. Now go ahead.
You shall not eat it, you shall pour it on.
So don't eat the blood. So no Polish blood sausage. Go ahead.
You shall pour it on the ground.
You pour it on the ground like water. Go ahead.
You shall not eat it so that it may go well with you and your sons after you.
So when you don't eat it, it goes well for you and your sons. You bring a blessing upon your family when you eat properly and you don't eat blood. This is what this is saying. So simple as not eating blood, Yahweh is going to let it go well with you and your descendants after you. Not just you. So you're living for the next generation and everything that you do in your relationship toward Yahweh. So don't eat the blood. All right, there's no medium rare. Cook it all the way through. All right, go ahead.
If you do what is good and pleasing before Yahweh your Elohim,
So if you do what is good, it's going to go well with you and your children. Go ahead.
but when you have taken your sacred things, whatever you may have,
These are sacred things, things that are dedicated and given for the purpose of Yahweh. Read.
and your votive gifts, you shall come to the place which Yahweh your Elohim may choose for himself, for his name to be called there.
Which is talking about Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And you shall make your whole burnt offerings, the meat you will offer on the altar of Yahweh your Elohim, but the blood of your sacrifices you will pour out at the base of the altar of Yahweh your Elohim, but the meat you shall eat.
Talking about when you come now to present an offering to Yahweh, now you pour that blood out and you go back and eat the meat like we do when? On Passover. But you don't have the temple, so you still make sure the blood gets into the ground and you eat that Passover lamb. But it's not a sacrifice. You're not doing it as a sacrifice. Okay, because Yahweh said don't sacrifice anything to him outside Jerusalem. We read it about 2 or 3 different times in chapter 12. Right, read.
Verse 28, keep and hear, and you will do all the words that I command you, so that it may go well with you, and with your sons forever, if you do what is good and pleasing before Yahweh your Elohim.
So he's putting healthy living, longevity in the same category as just following these dietary rules. Okay, go ahead.
Now, if Yahweh your Elohim utterly destroys from before you the nations among which you may enter there to inherit the land, and you dispossess them and live in their land, take care to yourselves, lest you seek to follow them after they have been utterly destroyed from before you. You should not seek their gods, saying,
Don't seek their gods. Don't try to do things to imitate the worship system of the heathen, whether it's talking about the Vikings and the other Scandinavians, whether you are talking about the Berbers, whether you're talking about ancient Kemet, whether you're talking about the Kurds or Iraqis or the ancient Turks or the Mongolians. Don't try to imitate what they did, worshiping their demons. Read.
how do these nations act towards their gods?
You investigating and digging and seeing what these nations did. And then you turn around and rob them of their culture because you don't think your Hebrew culture is good enough. The purity of the Hebrew culture, you don't think that's good enough. You want to get on the bandwagon and start doing everything else that the Gentiles are doing and how they worship their gods. Next thing you know, you're going to be smudging. Now, for the record, burning sage does have antibacterial and antifungal properties in your house, but people are doing it to get rid of negative, bad energy. No, it doesn't do that. Read.
I will do the same.
I'm going to do what these other people did to worship their gods. Go ahead.
Verse 31, you should not do thus to Yahweh your Elohim, for the abomination to Yahweh which he hates. They have done for their gods, for they burn their sons and their daughters in fire to their gods. Every word that I command you to
So now they burn their, and this is something that the white man, all right, in America, he encouraged Black men and women, Latino, Native American men and women, under Planned Parenthood, under the eugenics program pioneered by Margaret Sanger. They encourage you to sacrifice your children to Molech by going to the abortion clinics. That's all that is. You giving power to Satan, power to the beast. And we see it right here, that Israelites were killing and murdering their babies to sacrifice unto other gods. Read.
This you should be watchful to perform. You should not add to it or take from it. Kashwad Bari Hal, Banya Yasharahla Shami.
Kalashra the Banya Yasharahla Shami.
All Yahweh said, what we do in here.
All that Yahweh said, what we do and hear. All right, keep going. We're almost finished. We're making good time.
Now, if a prophet or one who divines by a dream should appear among you
So somebody saying that they are a prophet.
and give you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder should come about which he spoke to you, saying,
So now the person says, I'm going to give you a prophecy. And it happens. It happens. Read.
saying, let us go and serve other Alhaya.
And then they say, we don't got to keep these commandments and these laws. We can make sacrifices to all of these different gods over here. We can worship them this way. Just because they made a prophecy. And this is what fools our people in a lot of religious systems. Somebody gives a prophecy and a thing happens and you follow them as opposed to following the word of Yahweh, which tells you, obey me. Yahweh said, obey my commandments. Read.
Whom you have not known, you should not hear the words of that prophet or diviner by that dream, for Yahweh your Alhaya is testing you.
And many of our people fail that test. Read.
To know whether you love Yahweh your Alhaya with the whole of your heart, and with Yahweh with the whole of your soul.
So if you're looking at what Yahweh said, or the success of this person's ministry, that's the ultimate guide. Are you leading me to worship and obey Yahweh 100%? No. Well, I don't care if you got 30,000 followers, physical people in one place. I'm not following behind you. Me and 3 people will stay by ourselves instead of coming over with you and the 30,000 people being led to disobey the God of Israel. I read.
Go after Yahweh your Alhaya, and him you shall fear.
So we what? Go where?
Go after.
Go after. Because he proceeds before us. Remember we read that yesterday, right? We go after him. We do things that we know this is what Yahweh wants done. Period. Read.
And him you shall fear, and his commandments you shall keep, and his voice you shall hear, and to him you should be joined.
Is there any mystery on that? Anything not clear about that? You trying to join idols unto Yahweh. You trying to join trunk or treat, aka tailgate trick or treat to Yahweh. You trying to join, Happy New Year on January 1st to Yahweh. You trying to join all these idolatry practices to Yahweh. All right. You trying to join these pagan symbols to Yahweh. Read.
And that prophet or that diviner by dream shall die.
You got to kill that person supposed to die. Read.
For he spoke to lead you astray from Yahweh your Alhaya, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, who redeemed you from slavery, to thrust you from the way that Yahweh your Alhaya commanded you to go upon it.
So some of y'all are involved in the whole Israelite movement just to be used by Satan to distract people from obeying, to distract people from doing what is written, to try to subtly or indirectly or directly influence people to do the wrong thing, influence people to break the commandments. That's what some of y'all are sent for, vessels of Satan. And the ones that are successful at it, they get a large following. They get a lot of people following behind them. And they lead those people into disobedience also. Next thing you know, they're keeping the crescent moon, keeping the white moon, keeping the lunar Sabbath, making themselves unclean deliberately on the day that they say is holy, and then sacrificing blood inadvertently, indirectly, under the full moon, worshiping all these false gods, specifically Ishtar, all right, or Inanna, and worshiping Sin or Sin, which is Nana. All these gods in the Bible, Baal Peor, Ashtoreth, our people are still worshiping all these different gods. Go ahead.
And you shall eliminate the evil one from yourselves.
That means that the evil one, they got killed, okay?
Now, if your brother from your father, or from your mother, or your own son or daughter, or your wife in your bosom, or the friend who is like your own soul, secretly entreats you, saying, "Let us go and serve other Alhaim, whom you do not know,"
So somebody tries to have you come and worship another god. Read.
you nor your fathers, from the Alahaya of the nations that are around you, those near you, or far away from you, from the end of the earth up to the end of the earth. You shall not yield to him and listen to him, and your eyes shall not be sparing toward him. You shall not have a longing for him, neither shall you shield him. Reporting, you shall report concerning him, and your own hand shall be first against him to kill him.
So if somebody tries to say we're going to worship another god, the scripture says that they came to approach about it, you're supposed to be one of the main ones that begins the death process for that purpose.
And afterwards the hands of all the people, and they shall stone him with stones, and he shall die because he sought to turn away from Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. And all Yasharahla, when they have heard, will be afraid and will never do anything according to this evil thing among you. Now, if you hear in one of the cities the Yahweh your Elohim is giving you to live therein, saying, "Lawless men have gone out from among you, and led all the inhabitants of the city astray, saying, Let us go and serve other Elohim."
So again, people said, let's go and serve. And that's what all these different Israelite organizations that rise up and say, hey, let's change this. Let's change that. They're not worshiping the God of Israel. They're encouraging you to worship other gods. Read.
Whom you have not known, then you shall examine and ask and make a thorough investigation.
You got to investigate it. Go ahead.
And look, the charge is clearly true. This abomination has been done among you. Wiping out, you shall wipe out all the inhabitants of that city by slaughter, by dagger, with an anathema. You shall anathemize it, and everything in it, and all of its spoil you shall gather into the streets, and you shall burn with fire the city and all of its spoils, with its population, before Yahweh your Elohim. It shall remain uninhabited forever, never to be rebuilt. Nothing from that which is anathema shall stick to your hand, so that Yahweh may turn from the heat of his anger, and he shall give you mercy and be merciful.
So all the things that they were using in that city, Israel wasn't supposed to use them. Go ahead.
Be merciful to you and multiply you, and Yahweh, as Yahweh swore to your fathers. Verse 18.
All right, we're in Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 18. Go ahead.
If you hear the voice of Yahweh your Elohim to keep all his commandments,
Hearing his voice meaning do what he said. Read.
that I command you today,
And again, we're in Deuteronomy chapter 13. All right, chapter 13, verse 18. Last verse of the chapter. Go ahead.
to do what is good and pleasing before Yahweh your Elohim.
Uh-huh. Kalasra the body how na shawa na shami.
All the Yahweh said, we do in here.
All the Yahweh said what we do in here. All right, so we got just a few more verses and we'll be finished. Let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 17. Let's start from verse 1. And we're gonna read down to verse 14. Just a few dietary laws. All right. Go ahead. 14:14.
Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1. You are sons of Yahweh your Elohim.
So we are Yahweh's sons. Go ahead.
You shall not practice purification rites. You shall not place a baldness between your eyes for a corpse. For you are a people holy to Yahweh your Elohim. and it is you.
So now he's getting into some of the different practices that the people were doing. All right, that they were using to worship their gods. All right. Even going into like people shaving off their eyebrows. All right. And they were cutting themselves also. All right, cutting themselves and putting bald spots on themselves, all right, to symbolize certain death rituals. We don't know about them rituals, and we ain't trying to investigate them. We just said no, anything remotely similar to that, we should be refraining from. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse what?
Verse 2.
Go ahead.
For you are a people holy to Yahweh.
So we're a holy people to Yahweh. Go ahead.
And it is you, Yahweh Yahweh, has chosen.
He's chosen us. Go ahead.
To be an exceptional people.
We're a special people to him. Go ahead.
To him, out of all the nations on the face of the earth.
So out of all the nations, he said we are special. Read.
You shall not eat any abomination.
Anything that is detestable or unclean. Read.
These are the animals you shall eat.
These are the animals that we can eat. Go ahead.
Calf of cows.
We can eat bovine or cows.
And lamb of sheep.
We can eat the sheep family. Go ahead.
And kid of goats.
We can eat the goat family. Go ahead.
Deer and gazelle.
We can eat the deer and the gazelle. Go ahead.
And roebuck.
All of these different wild type of animals that have the split hoof, and they have the cloven foot, and they chew the cud. Go ahead.
And wild goat.
Mm-hmm.
And
now this one right here is actually wrong. All right, in the Greek right there. All right, because maybe they had something else that they had back then. All right, maybe they had something else back then, but the understanding was that this was talking about a type of mountain sheep. All right, go to verse 6.
any animal that divides the hoof.
Any animal that divides the hoof. Go ahead.
And splits the hooves.
All right, so they got a split hoof like that, like this, and then they got like two claws or two little things in the back of their foot right here. All right. Go ahead.
And splits the hooves into two parts, and brings up the cud. Among the animals, these you shall eat, and these you shall not eat.
So these are the ones you cannot eat. Go ahead.
Of those that regurgitate the cud.
So those animals that may bring food back up, like a rabbit, it brings food back up. All right, go ahead.
And of those dividing the hoofs.
And he divides the hoof. Go ahead. Well, he doesn't. And so some animals divide the hoof, and some animals do bring their food back up, have a 4-chamber stomach, which they call ruminant, all right, or rudiment. Animals that chew and they bring the food back up, they chew it again. And each time they do that, the previous batch gets pushed down into a 4-chamber stomach, one of the 4 chambers. And it gets processed more and more and more and more. All right, go ahead.
And making distinct claws. The camel and the hare and the coney, because these regurgitate the cud, but do not divide the hoof.
Right.
These are unclean for you.
All right. So the camel, read that again.
The camel,
go ahead.
and hare.
And the rabbit, go ahead.
And coney.
And the coney is another type of rabbit. All right. Well, you got a rabbit and then you got a hare. Technically, they're different. All right. And then you got the safan. All right. The hyrax. All right, which looks like a rabbit, but it's not really. It's not really, but it's not a rabbit. It looks like a rabbit. All right, go ahead. So these animals, they chew the cud. Go ahead.
Because these regurgitate the cud.
What verse you in?
Verse 7. These are unclean for you.
So they regurgitate the cud, meaning they do like the cow, but they don't have the right feet. Read.
Verse 8.
Verse 8, go ahead.
And the pig.
The what?
The pig.
The pig, the swine, go ahead.
Because this animal divides the hoof.
The pig does divide the hoof. Go ahead.
And makes distinct claws.
All right. And he has a cloven foot. Go ahead.
but this one does not chew the cud.
It doesn't chew the cud. It doesn't have the right dietary habits. So the animal should have the right dietary habits, all right, and have the right type of feet. Read.
This one is unclean for you.
It's unclean. Go ahead.
You should not eat their flesh, and you should not touch their carcasses.
Mm-hmm.
And of all that live in the water, you shall eat these. Whatever has fins and scales,
Anything have fins and scales. Go ahead.
you shall eat.
All right. There's all types of fish that got scales in them. You got to hit them with a spoon or a knife to get them off. And then they have the fins to swim around the ocean, swim around the rivers or the lakes or the ponds or the creeks. Right. Fins and scales has to have both. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And whatever does not have fins and scales, you shall not eat.
That's shrimp. That's oyster. That's clams. All right. That's a mollusks. Shark meat. These things don't have scales. Whale meat, no scales. They got fins, but no scales. Some of them don't have fins or scales. All right. Like the oysters and the clams don't got fins or scales. Go ahead.
These are unclean for you. Verse 11. You shall eat any clean bird,
Any clean bird. Go ahead.
and these you shall not eat from them.
So the clean birds are those that don't fall into these categories. Go ahead.
The eagle and the bearded vulture,
These are the eagle and the bearded vulture. These are all predatory birds. They get their food by preying upon other creatures. All right. Predatory birds. Go ahead.
and the osprey, and the vulture, and the kite, and those like it,
Those are like different types of hawks. Go ahead.
and every raven, and those like it.
So the ravens, those are nice birds, but we can't eat them. We can't eat the raven. Ravens are highly intelligent also, but we can't eat the raven bird. All right. Ravens, crows, they're all in the same family. Go ahead.
And ostrich, and little owl,
All right. So ostrich, we can't eat the ostrich either. And different owls, seagulls. Go ahead.
and seagull, and hawk,
Go ahead.
and those like it,
Mm-hmm.
and heron, and swan, and ibis,
See, these are water birds, waterfowl. Go ahead.
and diving petrel, and hoopoe, and long-eared owl.
All right, so these are, again, different types of predatory birds and also different types of waterfowl. All right, go ahead. So the things that we can't eat, what verse you in now?
18.
All right, we're supposed to stop at 14. You forgot. Me too. All right, so when we go back, jump up back to verse 14, it talks about the raven and the kites and all of these birds. All these are predatory animals. The animals that we can't eat are the songbirds, the birds that kind of just look for seeds and stuff and little bugs on the ground, short flight birds, and birds that aren't water birds, waterfowls. All right, and then songbirds. All right, like sparrows, blue jays, robins. A lot of our people from down south eat those types of birds, and those birds are lawful, but none of them eat crow. That's why they say eat crow. All right, none of them eat vultures, because they know they see what they do, but they see the pig doing the same thing, then they'll eat the pig. All right, so that's an hour, 18 minutes, better time than yesterday, the day before that, and then the day before that. All right, we had to break in with the 9 hour. All right, we had to break in with the 9 hour orientation on the first day. All right, so those are the dietary laws, and those are the scriptures about the what we can and cannot eat. All right, and as usual, if you got any pressing concerns or questions or comments, because like when we finish earlier and earlier, I will be more and more anxious to go ahead and let everybody finish their evening or afternoon. But you got the a comment session, or you can, contact me directly. All right. So let's briefly ask, does anybody have any questions or comments about anything that we read?
I do.
Okay.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.
I was wondering if we could eat tilapia.
Yeah, there's a bad rumor going around that tilapia is a hybrid animal, or it's man-made, or that it's a dirty fish. It has fins and scales. So yes, we can eat tilapia. And the tilapia origin is in the Nile. They got white Nile tilapia and blue Nile tilapia. Tilapia is a natural organic species of fish. And then people, some kind of way, people start to say you cannot eat tilapia. But scientifically and biblically, tilapia is a real lawful fish that we can eat. Yes.
I love tilapia. Okay, and how do you say what you said in Hebrews at the end of the verse of whatever Yahweh says we will do?
I'll put it in the comment section so you'll have it. But it's Kala Sharad Debar Yahweh Na Isha Wanashami. Kala Sharad Debar Yahweh Na Isha Wanashami. All that Yahweh said, what we do in here, and we'll put it in the comment section so people can see it. Okay.
The water.
You're welcome.
To water for this, Quan, I'm going to step to the mic and ask to speak for a minute.
Yes.
This is Baba Quan Malek, and this was an excellent in-gathering celebration. I do appreciate you bringing it back home. All praise to the Most High.
All praise to the Most High. The water, appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah.
You really give me memories of my mom and my dad when we used to sit in the sukkah back in the day. All praise to the Most High.
All praise to Yahweh. Khan.
Hallelujah.
The water.
Yeah. These laws, these commands are so important. And on the subject of hybrid food, in particularly the grapefruit, that I understand its origin is not a native organic species, but it is a GMO'd hybrid. Could you comment on that? And I'll take the other comments and stuff offline. I'll praise the Lord.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with a grapefruit being GMO or hybrid. I'm looking at it now. I would think that taking these two, it's almost, I would kind of equate that to a let's say, we all know that, to like a, let's say a German Shepherd and a Golden Retriever. They come from the same species. So if I take two things from the same species that are varieties of the same species and mix them together, or they pollinate some kind of way, have I broken, and they have seeds when I do this pollination, I think it becomes more of a very deep Torah philosophical discussion, as opposed to a staunch yes or no. They did, from what I'm looking at now, they did use a pomelo and an orange, two citrus fruits, to bring them together. A sweet orange, which is, but I'm not really getting what they're calling this pomelo.
That's what I heard too. That's what I researched and
found. The pomelo is a large citrus fruit. It's the largest citrus fruit. It can weigh 2 to 4 pounds. So it seemed like they took the attributes and the taste of that and paired it with a smaller fruit. But again, they're in the same family. So I can see if they took a grapefruit. In other words, I can see if they took a grape and a citrus fruit, but mixing and matching the same family of fruits to get a variety or get a variation of that fruit. I wouldn't call that in itself. I wouldn't call that in itself an unlawful occurrence.
Con, I appreciate that, Elder Torah Scholar.
At the water,
Peace.
no doubt. All praise to the Most High.
Hallelujah.
So yeah, that's a good point. And if we find out that, hey, this thing is totally unlawful, we got to stop eating the grapefruit. But for now, it seemed like it was made from the same family of same family of fruits. Same family of fruits. So we don't have a lot to say like, okay, it's unlawful because of this. It's the same, they're variations of the same family, and they propagate together. Okay, you don't need no special thing to do for it to propagate naturally. You have grapefruit trees growing all over. I know that in Central America, though, here in Central America, when we go over to Belize, the grapefruits and the oranges and the tangerines, they're all green, dark, thick skin, dark green. They're not orange and yellow, and they're green. The skin is green. All right. So I will say that, which is probably maybe that's a little less, doctored than the fruits that we have in America. So I would say that. Now we do have oranges down here in southern Mexico, but when I lived in Belize, all of the citrus was still green. The lime, the fruit, the grapefruit, and the tangerines were all green. Okay. So I would say that. All right. Any other questions and comments about anything that we've read today? All right. Anybody on YouTube? Questions, comments on YouTube? And also, somebody points out that the Most High gives the restrictions of the animal. He does in the Torah. The Most High doesn't give restrictions on grapefruit or rutabaga, which is another urban legend hybrid type of fruit. That we only have the restriction on different types of animals. So some people say like, that's the premise for some people to say, no, this is lawful to eat because it's the Most High didn't tell us not to eat this if this happened. So regarding the readings that we read from chapter 10, 11, where we start at? Yeah, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Any more? Any more comments on what we read today? Any questions or comments about it? If not, we can shut it down like PE in Arizona. All right, so shalom, YouTube.